What's up, guys? How's it going? It is Matt here. So, America, it is time for us to have a little talk. Now, in the last few months, there's been some things that have been rattling around my head, and I really need to come out here on video and get them out here. I really needed to get out here and just talk. All right. I haven't done a good rant video in a long time, so more than likely, this will probably turn into a rant. So, what happened to America? What is happening to America? That's the question I have. What is happening to America? You know, the other night, I was at the gym. I'm back in the gym doing all that stuff, and I had a heavy-duty shoulder workout. And when I do my workouts, it's pretty intense. I do intense workouts, and I usually listen to some heavy metal or something like that when I'm going through it. And I was just doing the workout, and a song that came on was the Bad Wolves version of Zombie. All right, their cover version of Zombie, which was actually created by the Cranberries. She actually was about to do it. She was going to sing for them, but she died prior to it. So they released it anyway, and it's a modern, updated version of the song the song "Zombie" from the Cranberries, except it was sung by Bad Wolves. Now, that song, I heard it last night, and it had been rattling in my head all day. Since then, all night, in the day, all day long, it's been rattling around in my head, and it really struck a chord. All right, it really struck a chord. Now, I heard it when I was younger, when I was a teenager. I used to listen to it, and it never really sunk in. It never really sunk in while I was listening to it. But when I listened to it last night, and then I listened to it again this morning, then again, it all kind of sunk in. You know, when I was in the Marine Corps, I became an infantryman. I was overseas. All right, my job in the military was to be overseas. I was a warfighter. That's what my job was. When I got out of the Marine Corps, when I got out of the Arizona Army National Guard, I thought I left all the war and the violence behind me. That's what my goal. I left all that stuff behind me. I'm a shooter. I love my guns. I carry my guns daily. It's a fun thing that I enjoy doing. However, I shouldn't, as an American, I shouldn't feel the need to have to carry it, in order to protect my family, because I don't know what is going on in the world, because the world has become a very dangerous place. Our country has become a war zone. It has 100% become a war zone. And I would carry a gun regardless, but you know what? I never ever had felt the need that I had to carry it in order to stay safe and to keep my family safe. Right? I never had that until these days. Now, over on Capitol Hill, there are people that have been in service for a very long time. Not even in service. They're not in service. They're not in service to anyone but themselves. But at Capitol Hill, there's been people that have been sitting at the big boy table, the adult table, for a very, very, very long time, for decades and decades. They've been sitting out there telling us how to live our lives, passing laws, passing regulations. They develop so much special interest that they don't care about us anymore. They care about lining their pockets with gold. That's what they care about, is lining their pockets with gold from the special interest groups. They're constantly going back and forth on what they say. They talk about, on one thing, they talk about you need to do this, and 2 years later they say the exact opposite, and they said they supported this the whole time, and it's all BS. Okay. On the same note, these people have their areas, okay? Their areas where they represent are in ashes, okay? They are in ashes. They are junk piles. There's human feces on the street. There's homeless. The poverty is insane. There's drugs. There's violence. There's all kinds of bad stuff. They cannot maintain their own areas because they're never there, and they honestly don't care about the areas as long as they get elected to office to get paid. They don't care about them. They don't care about anyone. And you have these people sitting at the table who have been there for decades, trying to tell us how to live our lives, creating rules and regulations, telling us how to live our lives, when they don't even have their own personal homes in order. And at the end of the day, they go home to their gated communities that are well protected by some by armed guards, others by simple alarm systems. And they go home to their gated multi-million-dollar homes, and they tell us that as Americans, we don't need a wall to protect ourselves, and we have no right to defend ourselves. And then they call people like me, a lifetime NRA member, an NRA certified pistol instructor through them. They call people like me a domestic terrorist simply because I'm part of an organization that we talk about our constitutional rights. That makes me a terrorist. Now, I'm going to make this clear. The people on the left and the people on the right, they do not represent me. They do not represent you. They represent themselves. There's a few of them on the on that big old adult table that are good to go, but most of them, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They only care about their special interests and lining their pockets with gold. That's all they care about. You can say what you want, and they are not going to do anything because that's who they are. That's just who they are. And the other thing that annoys the heck out of me is, on the same note as that, you have the news organizations that back these freaking legislators. They back these legislators, and these news, they don't even report the news anymore. They report their own versions of the news and their own political bias based off of these lawmakers, all right? Based off of these lawmakers. And they promote their stuff, and they're just drilling it in our heads every single day. I do not watch the news because I cannot stand it. Every single time I go on the news, it is always the same. They're constantly pounding their personal bias into your head, creating more division, creating more anger among the ranks, among Americans. Now, there's also these social media zombies, okay? These social media warriors, zombies, whatever you want to call them out there. They spend their entire lives, if they're even out there working, if they're not at work, if they're unemployed, they spend their entire lives on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, trolling other people that don't agree with their political views. That's all they do. They base their entire life on that. They have no filter between the head and their fingers. They have no filter between the head and the fingers. And they live their lives in that social media fantasy world where they can talk as much trash and say whatever they want, no matter how disgusting, how bad it is, how many death threats. I've gotten death threats from these people. They put that stuff out there, and they have no filter. They have no remorse whatsoever because they're online. They can get away with it. However, the problem is that they're bringing that same BS into the real world where people like me live, right? They bring that same stuff right here to us, and they have no filter between here and here, and they let it all go. And then they form these group mentalities, whether they're supremacists, whether they're Antifa, whatever they are. They create these mobs, and they start getting violent and pushing the violence. And you have these lawmakers supporting people like Antifa, saying, oh, they're just good people, when this is not at all. They are the domestic terrorists. Antifa is domestic terrorists. And they're supporting these people, and the news is supporting these people, when these people specifically spend their days on the computer doing nothing at school. They're at school, and they had degrees of stuff that won't even do anything for them outside of the school. And then they take their stuff, they take their streets, they cover their faces in masks, and they start brutally beating and hurting people and doing all kinds of horrible things to people just because they created that mob mentality. They've become living, walking, freaking zombies. Living, walking zombies. And these lawmakers back them. These lawmakers back foreign wars like crazy. And right now, I'm so sick of the wars. I'm so sick of the violence. I'm sick of all of that. I am so sick of all that. I'm sick of the social media people that push the war, that push all this stuff. You guys need to back off, okay? You are interfering with our lives. You are interfering with our lives. You are feeding these mobs. You are feeding this mob mentality. You are feeding the news. You are feeding these politicians with your crap, with your rage, with your pure freaking rage. You're feeding that, and then you're taking that same stuff and you're bringing it out the street, and you're bringing violence into our neighborhoods, onto the streets, and putting it right in front of our children where our children can see it. You have people against cops now, people against everyone, people against each other right now. Why? Because of you political zombies and you social media zombies and you news zombies. That's all you are. You are nothing but freaking zombies. Political freaking zombies. Now, those zombies that are over there at Capitol Hill need to step the heck down. There has to be term limits. There has to be term limits. And the reason there has to be a term limit is so these people cannot continue to push their BS and continue lining their pockets with the special interest groups, which directly affects us. They want control of us just so they can get rich. Those people need to be dethroned, okay? Those people need to be dethroned. People that have been in law, who have been representative for decades upon decades of decades. Your time is over. You are done. Step down from your throne, or get kicked out of office because you can no longer meet the terms. And then your pockets won't be lined with your special interest groups anymore. And then maybe you'll start feeling what the real world is. Maybe you'll start feeling what it's like to live in the real world. Well, no, more than likely, you'll probably just get jobs with the special interest groups that have been funding you for decades and decades to push laws that they specifically want that actually directly goes after us as law-abiding Americans. What is happening to America is now filled with political zombies that roam around the world, roam around the country, roam around social media, spewing their hate, just unloading their hatred and their rage and their violence, and it takes over their lives, and they want every single person to feel that violence. Every single person, they want to touch every single person. They want to spread that violence just like a freaking zombie horde, just like the zombies spread their freaking disease. That's all they're doing, is going around spreading the zombie disease of political zombieism, and they're roaming around the streets creating violence and political discord. That is what they're creating, and is dividing us just completely dividing us so much where people like me, we have to go outside carrying a firearm. We have to, because these social media zombies, some of them completely snap and lose their brains. Other of these people, the psychopaths, they follow these people, they lose everything, and they're the ones that are killing innocent people because of these political zombies. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. If you spend your days being a political zombie, spreading hatred, spreading rage, spreading violence, you are the problem. You are the problem. You are nothing but freaking zombies. Nothing but zombies. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of you. We're all sick and tired of this political crap. We are. Why can't we just live our lives? Why can't we just live our lives? Why? Why can't we just do it? Why do we have to follow the left? Why do we have to follow the right? Why can't we do our own thing, be at peace, do what we enjoy doing? Why can't we just take our kids out to the county fair without worry? Why doesn't that happen anymore? Why? Because you political zombies are destroying everything that we stand for as Americans. And I'm leaving it at that. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about me. And remember, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.